Hey, good people. Sean, welcome here and welcome to another episode of Spoken Word Tip Tuesdays. So today I want to talk about strategies for remembering forgotten lines mid-performance. Have you been there? Have you been there? You're performing your poem, and then somewhere along the lines, blank, nothing. No thoughts, nothing, can't grab it, it flew away somewhere. Yeah, everyone's staring at you. Your heart takes a baseball bat and starts beating the front of your rib cage, right? All that jazz, it's craziness. It hasn't happened to me a whole lot, but enough times to where I would at least have some thoughts on how to get out of that situation. Alive. I'm over dramatizing this, but yeah, it happens to everybody. And I just wanted to offer some thoughts around how do we get out of that. Now, for those of you who read your poems and feel like this content won't be applicable to you, you never know. You might, end up memorizing the piece and then you're like, oh shoot, I forgot. How do I get out of this, right? So it's for you too. The first thing we want to do is try to prevent from getting in that situation in the first place. Joe Frazier, famed boxer, has a quote. He says, you can have a fight plan or a life plan, but when the action starts and your plan doesn't go your way, you're down to your reflexes, right? And repetition is what trains our reflexes, right? So I know I've gotten out of some sticky situations by pure muscle memory. Like I was mouthing, my mouth was already trained based on how I was accustomed to mouthing the piece, right? So anyway, repetition is huge and can get us out of that crazy situation. Another thought I would say, I think it kind of depends on how far along into the poem you are when you forget. So I think if you're like 20 seconds into the piece or less, it might be safe to just start over. I don't think that's going to have a huge impact on the audience, right? And then see if you could, catch the line on the second run through. If it doesn't happen that way, like you still get stuck or forget, I would try to think of the next image or the next line, like almost like hitting the fast forward button, to try to catch something that you do remember, and then seeing if the rest of the poem would pick up that way. If you're halfway through the poem or like 3/4 way through the poem, don't start over. I don't think that's the best experience for the audience, but yeah, that's a bit much. It's like doing 2 poems, right? But yeah, I would try to, if it's like halfway or 3/4 way in and you forget a line, try to just do either the fast forward thing where you kind of pick an image and then see if it'll pick up from there, or just take a deep breath, let that awkward pause be there, and see if the line comes to you. Another thought I have is to just like lean into the mistake, right? Sometimes stating the obvious makes people laugh, and in that relaxed response where people are chuckling, everybody knows what's going on, sometimes that relaxed state will help the line come back to your memory, right? And then you could move forward from there. I've literally heard in terms of like leaning into the poem, a good friend of mine, poet, it's in Orlando, says he forgot a poem one time, and he was like, if y'all want to catch the rest of that poem, y'all see me next week, and everyone laughed, and it was the end of it, and it was just whatever, right? And to that point, I think setting matters, right? So like if you're at an open mic spot or a non-paying gig, like don't trip, it's not that, I'd say it's not that serious, if you will. I would just take it as a lesson, like, oh, I need to work on that particular piece, like use it as a motivator. If it is like a paying gig or there's a lot of people, 500, 2,000 people in the room, like the stakes are a little bit higher. My strategy is just to steamroll it, right? Like there's no going back in those settings, right? If I forget in those situations, I would definitely pick a line in the future of the poem and then try to just end well. That's the first thought that comes to me. If I forget a line, I think just end well, because your audience is going to remember the end of your poem more than anything else. It'll be basically the last thing they remember. So I hope some of that's helpful, right? Just remember to train your reflexes. If it's early enough in the poem, I would try to start over and see if the line picks up that way. Outside of that, I would just try to pick the next image, or kind of do like the, I don't know, fast forward theory, and see if you could skate with the rest of the poem like that. Another strategy is to just lean into the error, make a joke of it, state the obvious, make people laugh or whatever, and see if it comes back to you that way. And just focus on the ending, you know, and do better next time. You know what I mean? So those are my strategies for getting out of that those awkward moments. It may not work all the time, but hopefully there's something here that you can maybe think about and or use. All right? So till next Tuesday, peace, love, and poetry.